Good morning. Good morning. Great day. Sorry. It would appear. By the way, if you want videos on Saturday, let me know by dropping a like on this video and letting me know in the comment section down below. I don't mind adding Saturday to my schedule, but it appears, at least maybe, that the SJW Purge at Marvel and Disney might have begun. Now, by now, most of you have heard of the firing of Chuch Wendig, specifically for being a toxic, well-known D-bag on Twitter to both fans and, well, in general, I suppose. If you're not aware of who he is, he has a pretty long history of working both in YA-type book writing, short stories, and specifically what we're interested in is his work, former work, on the Star Wars series. Now, he's written a lot of books, but specifically we're going to talk about his work on Star Wars. Now, yesterday, Friday, the day people do get fired, Chuch Wendig, I'm not going to go through the entire thread because I'm probably the last person to make this video, but there's been some interesting developments. So here's the thing that has happened. I just got fired from Marvel. By the way, is it a uniquely far left, neo-progressive thing to feel like you have to air like every little personal thing in your life out on social media? If I were just fired, I probably wouldn't, my first reaction wouldn't be to write a 20-piece tweet thread about it. I would probably take some time to reflect and figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to shuffle my finances around. I would clean my room. For whatever reason, far left crazy people feel like they have to, just continue tapping into the Spurg side of the Force. I just got fired from Marvel and taken off issues 4 and 5 of Shadow of Vader and taken off an as yet announced Star Wars book. This might be a long thread, so apologies in advance. I hesitate to talk about this. No, you don't. This is the very first thing. When you are a professional victim, this is a rare occasion for you to actually be a victim. I hesitate to talk about this because, honestly, it gives the worst possible people a win, something they've wanted for a while. But I also feel like I've long held to honesty and forthrightness, and I don't feel like lying to people when I'm not on these books anymore. So let me tell you something, Chuch Wendig. Before we get in there, I really understand that I'm not going to necessarily celebrate a man who was fired, or a woman, anybody, for losing their jobs for comments they make on social media, okay? I think I unfairly did this when James Gunn got terminated, and initially when I heard Chuch Wendig getting terminated, I felt an overwhelming sense of joy. I think the one exception for me is, because only the Sith deal in absolutes, the one exception I have is when people have publicly applauded others for being terminated for their opinions, just like James Gunn. And we have Chuch Wendig also publicly tweeting, ABC just canceled Roseanne. Good. So I just don't feel that bad for somebody who has publicly supported and cheered when other people get terminated for their opinions online. When they get a taste of their own medicine, I just don't feel that bad about it. And to give you an idea of how much of a absolute joke Chuch Wendig is, there are literal t-shirts out there that say, if you're not blocked by Chuch Wendig, you're doing something wrong. And he's got his faking Star Wars beanie cap on it. So he goes on to say, when Star Wars Aftermath came out, and watch how he spins this. This is the interesting part. I assume most know, but maybe you didn't. I put some elements in there, LGBT characters, that were not received well by a certain set of the fandom. Again, this is not why you were fired, Chuch Wendig. I will show you, child man, how and why you were terminated. That resulted in both negative review campaign found across various Facebook groups and other worst places on the internet, and began mounting a very minute the book dropped online. I was at a midnight release of the book when it got done. There were already a pile of one-star reviews piling up. Well, here's the thing. When you are an outspoken jagoff like you are, Chuch Wendig, you're going to piss some people off. And maybe if you want, here's something that maybe you could think of, Chuch Wendig. If you're worried about the success and the sales of a project that you're working on, and you want absolutely no backlash for your personal opinions, consider next time writing those books under a pseudonym. I know it would be extraordinarily difficult for someone so ego-driven, someone so addicted to the blue check mark of verified insanity. But if you don't want those haters to follow you around, and look, dude, you act like you're the only one that doesn't have them. There's a group of people that dislike my videos regularly. On my other channel, my gaming channel, Unsleeved Media, I get 50 to 75 dislikes every video within the first 20 minutes. These are people that are literally subscribed to my channel just to dislike them. I don't whine about it online, and I certainly don't use words like you did. That I was at a midnight release of the book. When it got done, there were already a pile of one-star reviews piling up, which seemed strange, obviously, and scary too. I didn't understand what was happening. That's right, because what you expect everyone else in the world to ignore your absolute insanity. And I'm not going to go through this entire thread. It's been covered before. However, this is this right here. This is the narrative he wanted to craft, and it worked. So Marvel fired you for essentially introducing diverse characters which offended homophobic people. Got it. That's not a good look, Marvel. Have you ever heard of Gamergate? Seriously? Again, people were talking about in a live stream show the other day how like, oh, Gamergate's totally dead. The top comment on here is about Gamergate. You cannot deny that it still lives in the brains of far left neo-progressives and the vocal minority. Most of us have moved on, but they have not. It's still their worst nightmare. And this is everything he said before was about pushing this message, okay? But other far left crazies are now afraid. But let me share with you first why Marvel may have wanted to disassociate themselves from you, Chuch Wendig, and your soy face. Winter is coming, you callous family-friendly. You prolapsed family-friendly. You grotesque monsters, you racist, you family-friendly, you wretched abusers, you vengeful petty horrors. They can all eat poo, all of them. Eat a boot covered in it. We could see this. F Trump. But he's the ugly fake gold mask they put on the thing. I mean, this, you can just see, this is not why he was not terminated for introducing LGBTQ elemental P characters to his books. Nobody cares about that. When will these people understand? Let me explain, okay? Let me get full screen. Let me bring you in for the real thing, okay? There is an absolute tiny percent, like a fraction of a percent of people that genuinely care about not having a diverse cast in their stories, okay? Here's why people react, in my opinion. It's the way it's covered by the media. You put it out there, Chuch Wendig, that, well, I was terminated for a rubble LGBT. No, you weren't. You were terminated for a history of tweeting obscene things at both your fans and just out to the masses. And Marvel got sick of taking flack for it. And that's why you were terminated. But instead, you continue to push this narrative. And now there'll be a million articles on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday about how it's the comics gators, it's the, you know, all these terrible people, or why Chuch Wendig was fired. And it isn't. It's about, I know, see, the thing is, a lot about these far left people, they have the minds of children. They have not really begun to understand what it's like to have personal responsibility. This is a guy, Chuch Wendig, who tweeted yesterday about going to see Teen Titans in the movie theater. Sorry, but you're like a 40-year-old man. Were you there by yourself at Teen Titans? That's an interesting choice for an adult man. Just saying. And when you wake up and understand that this messaging that you put out, okay, is why you were terminated as a result of that plus heat that Marvel took, you will continue to be fired. And now other far left crazies are starting to get scared. Here's another blue check mark. So I've seen some cretins speculating that I should be the next punished or fired for my Twitter presence. I find that unlikely, and I will tell you why in the following thread. Most immediately relevantly, I don't work in the media tie-in or otherwise do work for hire generally, so I'm not fireable in that regard. All my fiction work today is original. With regard to book contracts, blah, 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 blah. But what this is him trying to make himself feel better. This is him trying to make himself feel better. I'm not afraid. If you're not afraid, why do you have a 10-point tweet storm about why you're not going to get fired? Make no mistake about it. This termination has these far left ideologues frightened. They are scared. I like how some of these people don't understand why he was fired. It's not because of hating free speech. Look at these tweets and then think about this. You're working for the biggest company in the world. Making comments like this will make your company look bad. I mean, you don't understand. I'm not going to celebrate your termination, but I'm not going to feel bad for you. And I'm not going to feel bad as more companies continue to enforce social media policies, because let me explain how this works. Not to you, the viewer, because I know you already know this. The only reason that these people are relevant on social media, for the most part, is because of what? Who they work for. You think anyone gives two ripping shits about Mags Visaggio? No, but she has a blue check mark and she gets to put DC Comics in her Twitter bio. Most of these far left crazies get their following. Why? Because people want to hear about Spider-Man, or people want to hear about a comic they're working on, or a story they're working on, or Star Wars. They don't want to see or hear their crazy political posts. But there is a following for that. However, eventually what happens is these companies realize that your platform is a direct result of their name being there. Okay? And your association with huge companies like Disney, Marvel, DC, I don't care who it is, Sony, whatever. All right? Because of that, you are using them as a platform. And when you speak like this online and you have a history of it, and make no mistake about it, okay? I guarantee you, Chuch Wendig has been warned about this. I guarantee you he has been warned in the past, but he conveniently left that out. There is zero chance he was just terminated Friday. He has a long history of these insane tweet rants. I guarantee he was warned multiple times, because unlike the rest of us who are grown men and women, these far left people don't understand, again, personal responsibility. They think they can just keep going on doing whatever it is that they do, and everyone's just going to have to sit there and groove on it. Well, we've seen it with James Gunn. We've seen it with Roseanne. We've seen it now with Marvel, Disney. Companies are getting sick of it because the consumers are getting sick of it. And for that reason, your termination was justified, and I will not lose a wink of sleep over it. Best of luck to you, bud.